When we got dressed this morning, we chose to be part of the largest industry on the planet. Whether you wear designer jeans or the same shirt until it falls off, whether you spend hours dressing in the morning or 30 seconds, we all wear clothes. All of us participate in the $2.4 trillion fashion industry. As a producer for Fashion Weeks in 6 countries, my colleagues often ask me, "Where is home for you? Where are you from?" And when I tell them, they are surprised, because I grew up running around the forest barefoot. My father filled my childhood with both practical survival skills, like building rainproof shelters and making fires with a bow drill, and also modern survival skills, like eating dinners made with roadkill. I'm now a vegetarian. Yeah. So home, for me, is anywhere in nature. Nature is where all of us originally come from, and the earth is our first and our only home. And this is why the big question I ask myself every morning when getting dressed is, bare feet or stilettos? And growing up, designers like Alexander McQueen, who drew inspiration from the natural world that I grew up in, inspired me. I was captivated by the hundreds of beautiful blooming flowers as the backdrop for Spring Fashion Week campaigns, and by Into the Wild themed fashion editorials. I became obsessed with this idea of expressing the wild through fashion. But then I discovered the dirty truth. Fashion, this art form that I love, is one of the top 3 most environmentally destructive and wasteful industries on the planet. Our rivers around the globe are shades of our blue jeans and our red dresses. 500 billion gallons of toxic textile dyes are dumped in our waterways every year. To produce enough cotton for a single shirt, 4,000 liters of chemical pesticides are sprayed. Cotton is the #1 sprayed crop and accounts for 16% of the world's pesticide use and threatens the health of our ecosystems, our children, and ourselves. Meanwhile, an average US consumer discards 81 pounds of clothing each year. Multiply that by all of us in this room. Now multiply that by 300 million Americans. That's a lot of waste. And most of it ends up in landfills overseas or in our sea, at your ideal vacation spot, the Pacific Ocean's trash island. 6 years ago, I realized that I could no longer work in fashion as it is today, and then I would either have to leave this industry or do something to help bring fashion forward. And this is when the idea came to me. What if we could bridge this gap between the fashion world and the conservation of our planet? Fashion for conservation was born with the idea of changing the direction of fashion's impact on the planet. Brands are already drawing inspiration from nature in the design of their clothing, their editorials, and Fashion Week sets. What if these brands also took responsibility for what they are promoting? We ask fashion brands to reinvest in our ecosystems, biodiversity, and indigenous cultures that still coexist with nature's. And as consumers, We have a voice. Fashion is this powerful opportunity we all have because we all wear clothes. We can insist that the brands we buy from stop decimating our planet and start protecting it. We can choose, thank you. Thank you. We can choose to support brands that are taking care of our first and our only home. And brands are already starting to listen to our consumer voice. At Eco Fashion Week, H&M launched their eco-conscious collection made with organic cotton clothing. And one of my favorite Seattle brands, Evernew, is also changing the game. Evernew recently partnered with Levi Jeans, and they break down post-consumer cotton waste down to its microfibers, and then rebirths the waste into a pair of new Levi jeans with zero carbon footprint. I know. Super exciting, I know. So at Fashion for Conservation, I finally get to produce high fashion editorials and wild fashion events that make conservation fun and science sexy. We produce events, thank you. We produce events and magazines that engage and empower consumers to take action, especially those who wouldn't otherwise pay attention to environmental issues. We believe in fashion fighting for conservation. Last year at our annual Rainforest Gala here in Seattle, we collaborated with 12 international brands to design rainforest-inspired clothing that also gave back to conservation efforts with Hoja Nueva. Last year's Rainforest Gala with Hoja Nueva protected 500 acres of Peruvian Amazon, implemented waste management programs in remote communities, brought animals back home from the wild, off the black market, helped indigenous women start their own sustainable businesses, built a zero carbon footprint eco-lodge, planted 2,000 cacao trees so that you can come to our wild rainforest event, November 28th this month here in Seattle, and say that the dress you bought helped make chocolate and save the rainforest. Yeah. Thank you. Our current campaign, Elephantasia, puts a media spotlight on the elephant poaching crisis. Right now, one elephant dies every 15 minutes. At this rate, we could lose our wild elephants in less than 8 years. Fashion Week campaigns like Elephantasia and like Not on My Planet are working with both independent designers and some of the top fashion brands and have reinvested over $1 million fashion dollars against the elephant poaching crisis in the last year. Yeah. This, to me, is hopeful, and here is a little preview of Elephantasia. designs are not only inspired by the African elephant, the designers behind them each chose to reinvest a portion of every sale back into elephant conservation and use responsible materials like recycled materials and like organic cotton and no-kill silk, and even pineapple husks instead of leather. Yes. So this, to me, is fashion with integrity, and this is the business of fashion I am finally proud to be a part of. Thank you. Thank you.